Hey everybody, it's Steph Beckett here. We are doing an InfoComm 2022 interview, and I am here with Mike Ehlenberger of ScreenBeam. How's it going?
Going great, Steph. How are you?
I am doing great, and I'm looking so forward to InfoComm, and I'm looking so forward to visiting you guys' booth. So, like, first of all, we saw you, just a few weeks ago at ISC. It's so wild to have those two so close to each other this
Yes.
year. So, first of all, tell me a little bit about, what we can expect from you guys at InfoComm versus what we saw at ISE.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of long lines at the ScreenBeam booth. Absolutely. InfoComm was a phenomenal show. First and foremost, we're so happy to be back to live events in the industry and having the opportunity to meet with, our partners and our customers. What we saw at ISE in Barcelona was nothing short of incredible. And the booth staff said there was not enough people. So we will
Yeah.
be adding staff for InfoComm and making sure that we can spend time with everybody who's coming by the booth for sure.
And we are also adding staff for InfoComm because we are like, oh, this is like a regular trade show. Like we gotta get back to that mentality. Um, but yeah, I also like it's also so interesting being in person at a trade show when UCC has just been hyper producing new products over the past few years, and we haven't gotten to see any of those like collaboration products in person. And
Yeah.
so this is just such an interesting and cool time to have a trade show because we're getting to see and demo all of this stuff in person when we are having to make all of these decisions about how we want work to go in the future. In this time where, it used to be just a few random people were maybe working from home, but now we have C-level people who are working from home, and it's very important and very imperative that they're a major part of meetings, even if they can't be there in person. So
Yeah.
let's talk about like the whole hybrid work thing for a minute because it's so important that everyone in is present who is in the meeting and who is present there, and it's important that they're all getting the same experience. So tell me a little about that.
Wow. I mean, the whole market's in hyperdrive right now. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm kind of on an episode of Star Trek, and we're making a jump to warp speed here all of a sudden, coming out of COVID and moving into this new working model. And there's a lot of implications, and I know there's a lot of conversation about it. And so I'm trying not to be repetitive, but it's just so interesting that if you think about 2019 and the way that the work patterns and meeting patterns were taking place inside of companies, um, it was more like 10% of meetings would include a remote participant by video. And so it was really just starting to move in that direction. And here we are, fast forward to 2022 and 2023, right around the corner for us. And it's more like 90% plus of meetings that are taking place, from corporate facilities are going to be inclusive of remote people. And we all know why that is, right? Everybody's moved to this hybrid working model. People during the pandemic took opportunities to relocate to other areas as the remote working model became more acceptable. But now we really have this challenge of inclusiveness and making sure that we're benefiting from the collective brain trust within our organizations to be great and to do great things. And so the technology in those spaces and the technology used to connect us are just incredibly critical. And that's what we focus on first and foremost. Yes, we are a product company. Yes, we're very, very heavy in software development to
Mm-hmm.
enable the experiences, but it's that point exactly that really sets ScreenBeam apart in this industry is the experiences. It's the user
Right.
experiences, both on the in-room side of things and then the user experiences on the remote end of things that we're super focused on.
Yeah. And I also wanted to talk about pre COVID, it seemed like the biggest conversation in UCC was, are we doing BYOM or are we doing a dedicated room space? And then once we all went home, that didn't seem to be as much of the conversation anymore. It was okay, what's the best way for us all to join this meeting? And now it seems like we're kind of going back to, okay, we're back in the office now, or at least some of us are. Do we want to dedicate a room space or do we want to bring your own meeting space? So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about what it's like kind of being in this kind of new frontier in that area as well.
Well, I would say, the working from home model was like an episode of the Brady Bunch where everybody had an equal square, and we all had equality because we were all in the same position where we were all working remote. And now here we are back in the office with people working remote, but we're using the tools that are here in our workspaces, right? So we're using the interactive technology inside of the meeting spaces. We're using whiteboards. Okay, I'm sorry, I haven't been able to get away from the whiteboard. I still love the smell of an expo marker. When I'm collaborating, it just does something to trigger my creativity, and being
Yes.
able to just draw like that is amazing. Um, but so it's really different, and there are really good reasons why people should be creating dedicated rooms. There's a lot of functionality that you get out of a out of a Teams room or a Zoom room or any of these other types of systems. But the problem with those systems is that they're very, very limiting. They essentially are capitalizing on all of the AV peripherals that are within the room. So everything interfaces directly to them. And so all of the experiences are uniquely and exclusively based on those systems' capabilities. And what we've been hearing from customers and the problem that we've solved, I'll talk about that in just a second, because it's really going to get people interested in coming by our booth at InfoComm, is how we can actually bring the two worlds together. So we have
Exactly.
brought BYOM into a Microsoft Teams room. We've brought BYOM into a Zoom room. And so now you have this full level of flexibility and agility to do whatever you want in those spaces, because we have very uniquely solved this problem like no other company has ever solved this problem
Yes.
before.
Because it's if a company has already purchased all of the hardware for a Teams room or for a Zoom room, and some of the people on the team like don't want to use that and use something different, like it's very difficult for that company to be like, okay, well, we're just going to toss out all this hardware then
Yeah,
if you want it. So it makes a ton of sense, and I'm really glad that you guys developed something that lets people just kind of choose what works for them, and it's something that automatically just kind of works together, correct? Like your USB Pro switch and the 1100 plus, correct?
that's right. That's right. You've been doing your homework. I'm really impressed, Steph. Yes, absolutely. Um, Yeah, so what we've done is we announced several weeks ago, we announced the addition of a product called USB Pro Switch, and it works in conjunction with the ScreenBeam 1100 Plus. And this is a first of a kind solution that enables you to interface all of the room's AV USB peripherals to the switch. And then it has two host ports on the opposite side of the switch. One is host one, and that goes into the dedicated room system. So whatever you're using, whatever you've already got deployed, you're just going to kind of put the switch in the middle of it. And then the host two goes to the ScreenBeam 1100 Plus, which on top of being a BYOM platform, which on top of being a native wireless display, wireless presentation, collaboration, wireless inking platform, and all the wonderful things come with it as well, is also in and of itself a HDMI switcher because it has two HDMI ports on it, and it will actually allow you to switch back and forth between wired and wireless connectivity. And so now what happens in our vision, again, it comes back to the user's experience. And what I
Hmm.
really want to convey to your audience is that ease of use with the ScreenBeam solutions is paramount. And when you're evaluating these types of technologies and trying to figure out what the best fit is going to be, the tech specs can get you so far. And we, of course, think you're going to be very impressed with that. But when you get into the actual practical application, the testing, doing proof of concept deployments, and you see how easy it is for the users, you're going to be really impressed. The vision I always start product meetings with when we're talking about our roadmap is that our job is to make it so that a user can come into a room and have everything they need connected before their bottom actually hits the seat.
Yeah.
And that's a really important point because meetings shouldn't get in the way. Meetings are
Right.
just the way that it's just like any other type of a connection you have. When you open up your laptop and you power it on, you just automatically want it connected to Wi-Fi. You don't want to have to
Yes.
go in there and hunt for it and find it and type in a password and deal with all that type of stuff. And it's the same thing in a meeting room. And so with USB Pro Switch, what is just so cool is that everything's always defaulting in a dedicated room. If you're in an MTR and you walk in, you hit your Logitech tap and start your meeting or whatever it is you're doing, it's just going to work for you. There's no interruption, there's no disruption, there's no change in experience. But if you walk into that room and you open up your laptop and you click connect for ScreenBeam conference, it's automatically talking to that USB Pro switch and telling it, hey, all the AV peripherals are now being switched over to the ScreenBeam. And as soon as that user does that, and then they tap on their calendar to start a meeting, which is how we started this meeting, is how every other meeting starts when we're in our own personal workspaces. So we're already used to doing it. It just works. The whole room system's lit up. The cameras work. The audio systems work. The front of room display works. If it's interactive, you can use wireless inking. ScreenBeam has a very unique patent around inking, which is becoming really a big deal, called ghost inking. So we offer zero latency wireless inking at the front of the room. And it all just really comes to life. And so now we're talking about the in-room experience. You've got all that connectivity in the room. Okay, so you're satisfying every need. You've got the front of room wireless presentation. You've got mobility. People can walk into meeting rooms and present wirelessly from their cell phones if they want to these days. It's just so easy to be able to do it. But now we're talking about inclusion, and the remote participants are now able to fully experience what's happening in those rooms as well. So you're picking the right components for the room, and then you're giving the user the option, hey, do I connect using the room system? Which, by the way, if it's a Teams room, it's only a Teams room. And if it's a Zoom room, it's only a Zoom room. Or do I connect using ScreenBeam, and then I can connect any way I want to? So that flexibility is paramount.
It's key. Yeah, 100%. So the last major question I wanted to ask was, I know this week ComfTel announced that its video conferencing cameras and devices now work with wireless collaboration and content sharing from ScreenBeam, from you guys. I wanted to ask, are the more partnerships like this, are they going to be announced in the future? And is this going to kind of be a trend for you guys?
Yeah, I think certainly. I mean, again, I'm going to come back to user experience, and the onus is on us to really make sure that we're helping to drive those experiences. And so we are focused on very key partnerships that we have in the industry to make sure that we've got great interoperability, great compatibility, because we're connecting those devices using a wireless system versus just a hard connection to the user's laptop. We really have to put these systems through their paces and make sure that the performance is right, so the end customer doesn't have to go through that.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about ease of use these days. When you're trying to join a meeting, you don't want to have to do a million things just to accomplish what should be simple. So why shouldn't it be simple? So yeah, I just really wanted to reiterate to everyone watching to go check you guys out at your booth. Y'all are in the West Hall at InfoComm 2022, booth 1429. And just want to reiterate, if you are someone who works in collaboration, you are going to want to check it out, because to my knowledge, there is not another product out there that allows you to choose between bring your own meetings and having a dedicated room. So if your clients, if your customers are asking about that and asking about how that can exist, it can. So please go visit the ScreenBeam booth and you will not be disappointed. But yeah, is there anything else you wanted to add?
I would just say, Steph, we're thinking about the work model, we're thinking about the people, we're thinking about the experiences. There's a tremendous solution here in the market. One thing we've worked really hard on is to make sure that we have inventory in stock for the industry. We know that a lot of our partners, are having, are struggling with staging jobs because of what's happened with the global supply chain situation. And ScreenBeam has worked very, very diligently procuring components 12 plus months in advance and putting cash on the barrelhead and building up inventory. So ScreenBeam solutions are available for you now. You can buy them today. You can install them tomorrow. You can install ScreenBeam as a standalone solution for either wireless presentation or UCC, or you can install it with a USB Pro switch, which we also have ample inventory of, into existing Teams rooms or Zoom rooms or other dedicated room systems. So there is something out there today. There's a lot of demand for it. Customers that have these rooms installed are really looking for, okay, I actually need this flexibility. And so they're looking for us, the industry, to bring them those solutions. So I would say, please come see us at InfoComm. Come see our website, ScreenBeam.com, and we will be very, very happy to help everybody.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you jumping on here and talking to me today. And don't forget to everyone watching, please go visit ScreenBeam, their booth. Once again, they're in the West Hall. It is booth 1429. And for more of our InfoComm coverage, you can always go to ravepubs.com/InfoComm 2022. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you.